Facebook just rolled out a huge change to their algorithm, which really dramatically changes how we build campaigns to find motivated sellers. So if you're running campaigns now, or you have an agency running campaigns for you, you got to make sure that they're actually implementing this, because this is going to give you this is going to give you an edge on finding the right motivated sellers, on making sure that you're getting the right prospects into your funnel, and give you better performance overall, because you're going to have a lower cost per lead. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you what the changes were to the motivated seller campaigns for Facebook. This is a diagram that Facebook gave out to everybody, which basically tries to explain in a not so simple way what the challenges are. The main big broad stroke challenge is that over the last couple of years, the amount of ads coming into the system has dramatically increased exponentially. And so as a result, their system for retrieving ads for a particular individual user on the platform was really not ideal. It was slow, and also it didn't match. Those ads were not matching precisely that particular user's experience on the platform. So, user logs on to Facebook, you start browsing, and within milliseconds, Facebook, understanding that prospect, their likes, the things that they've interacted recently, has to now then look at the entire database of ads that they have, and then pull an ad that they feel would best likely fit that person. And they want to create a good user experience. And the way they do that is, let's say if I was looking at buying a Mercedes vehicle, and then all of a sudden I started seeing ads about Mercedes-Benz and about different things related to Mercedes-Benz, then as a user, I would find that helpful. I would say, oh, this is great. Or maybe I was buying a mattress, and now I see videos and images and ads about different mattresses and options. And so that's a good user experience. That's what they want. But they had to rework this entire system here. And I'll share with you why it was, and it was the way that people were creating the ads. So they did a reworking of the system that combine a different architecture. So you see NVIDIA here at the bottom, which is more computing power, along with using AI in order to then have the best chance of serving the right ad to the right person. Now, how does that work with you? Let's talk about, first of all, how we were running campaigns before, and I'll show you the new way that we're running, and then I'll show you results from the new way here. By the way, if you're interested in us setting up this entire system for you and then showing you how to run it, takes you about an hour a week at the most once it's up and running. Make sure you click the link in the description. So before, we were running a campaign here. One campaign, for example, 2 ad sets. And this is just the organizational structure of Facebook ads. If you've never done this before, then it might just seem kind of odd to you. But each of these components here have different things that you control. For example, in the ad set is where you control geography. In the campaign, you control certain things. So in this example, in the ad sets, we control interest and targeting. So we would take all of our interest, people who visited Zillow, people that visited homes.com, people that were looking for a home equity line, and we group all those interests together, and we put them in one ad set. And then we take another ad set and not put any interest at all, and that would be the second ad set. Now inside each of these ad sets would be an ad. And the ad would be what's called dynamic or flexible creative, meaning that we take 5 images and 5 videos, 3 headlines and 3 different body copy, and we put them all together into one particular ad called a flexible ad. And then Facebook would then, as it's showing the ad, it would self-organize itself and figure out, okay, which is the best video. In this scenario here, a lot of the videos were very similar to each other, similar kind of messaging, right? We didn't want to put too specific of a message because we wouldn't get the right results. Because if we said, hey, we want to create a video for targeting people that are getting a divorce and want to sell their property, that would be too niche, and Facebook will have a difficult time in getting that ad to get traction. Now it's different because we have a new campaign structure, and the new campaign structure is we have one campaign, we have only one ad set with no targeting at all. The targeting is actually done through the creative, meaning that, so let's say we have one ad set, and then now instead of having one flexible ad with everything inside of it, we're going to have all the ads separately created. So here I show 6 ads, but I'm talking about 10, 15, 20 ads that we're making. Now each of these ads are a combination of images and videos, and then avatar based, meaning that we're now creating ads around divorce. So for example, Or, it could be, are you getting a divorce and need to sell a property? Did you recently inherit the house and now you're thinking about selling it, wondering what's the best way to get that done? So all those are the different avatars. And then each of these will have its own corresponding image and video. So if you think about it, right here we have divorce, inherited, repairs, vacant, and tenants. So that's 4 different avatars, 2 different types of images. So right here we have 8 ads. Now this is what's called bottom of the funnel. Okay, bottom of the funnel meaning that in the past we were making very direct ads, meaning we were calling out to that audience and saying, do you want to sell a house? Fill out the form. Now, it didn't take into consideration the other stages of the funnel. Now, when I say it didn't take into consideration the other stages of the funnel, then what I mean is levels of awareness, right? So if we're looking at these direct ads, do you have a house for sale? If so, we need to talk. It's targeting the people that have already made a decision to sell their house, perhaps already made a decision to sell it to a cash buyer. And so then those people are at the bottom. They're more toward the desire level. But there's another whole subset, another awareness level, which is interest, meaning they do have an interest in selling the house, but they haven't made a decision. Awareness would be that this top level would be that they have a problem with their property, but they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to take care of it. They're overwhelmed, and they haven't even considered options. They haven't even considered whether or not do I sell it to a cash buyer? Do I sell it to a real estate agent? That's not even in their mind. So with the typical ads, we are missing awareness and we are missing interest. We only have this really bottom of the funnel here. That's what's called BOF, bottom of the funnel. Now, let's talk about these creatives here. So these creatives have to be unique. They cannot be creatives that are in essence the same, but maybe just changing a couple things out of that creative. So for example, in the past, this is the typical way that people would create a large volume of ads. They would have a hook, say the first 3 to 5 seconds. They would have a call to action, and then the middle would stay the same. So many times people would record a bunch of hooks and maybe a bunch of CTAs, but the middle would remain the same, and they would just edit the ads, and then the middle would always say the same thing. So this right here is not something that we want to do anymore. We want to have a creative that is specific to that person all the way around, that talks to the pain points of that individual. Because Facebook reads the entire script of the video. So from that script, they're now able to determine, okay, what is that type of prospect that you're looking for? And then they'll go ahead and then try to match that. So for example, if we're talking about inherited, or let's say we have here tenants. One common issue with tenants is eviction. So you could say, well, do you have tenants that you're trying to evict, but now you're wondering, should you just sell the damn property? Not you say that, but you know what I mean? In that scenario, Facebook would read the whole transcript of the video, and they would understand that, oh, they're looking for people that are having eviction issues or trying to evict a tenant. Well, now, if somebody visits the website for an attorney on an eviction, then that ad would potentially show to that person, because if Facebook pixels on that website, when they go on the platform on either Facebook or Instagram, they would go ahead and see those ads. So the ads have to be uniquely different. They can't just be an ad that's compiled together of a few different hooks and CTAs, but the bodies are all the same across all the ads. Now, if this is the bottom of the funnel ads, which is what I mentioned here toward the bottom, what are these ads? Awareness and interest. Well, awareness and interest are these type of ads. Objection handling ads. Origin story. Why us? Objection handling. Well, let's go. I'm going to work from the bottom up because we have to also talk about breakout videos. Why us? In other words, somebody comes in. So you would have all these ads, for example. You would have all these avatars, and you would have these other ads in targeting. So you would have an ad that says, objection handling. Should you sell a property to a cash buyer, or should you list it with an agent? Well, that could be a video. If you're considering selling your property, you're wondering what's the best solution. Should you go with an agent or should you go with a cash buyer? Both of them have their own benefits. When you go with an agent, you have XYZ. When you go with a cash buyer, you get less money, but you are able to get it faster, etc. And you don't have to worry about anything. And so I'm not saying that's a perfect ad, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. So in that scenario now, that's an ad that would run alongside of these, because then what Facebook will do is that Facebook may show this ad to the divorced person. They may not submit their information to become a lead, but all these ads are in the same campaign and ad set. So what Facebook will do is that it'll say, oh, you know what? That divorced person here, actually, we might show one of these ads here. And then now they're being retargeted automatically through the system and cycle through the different levels of awareness here. So what this new algorithm is doing is it's able to understand levels of awareness along with the bottom of the funnel ads and make decisions regarding what's the right ad to the right person at the right time. An origin, so objection handling. So these were called breakout videos. Breakout videos would be is that you break out different objections that a customer would have or client in order to then handle those objections so that way it's like propaganda. Like they're seeing videos of you all throughout as they're browsing Facebook and Instagram, and they're dealing with objections. They're still seeing these ads here. So they might see now if that person originally came from a divorce ad, they might see a couple of objection handling ads. But then now the first time they saw the divorce ad was a video, but now they might see an image. And now that person saw the image. When they first saw the video, they weren't really going to go ahead and submit their information. But because they've seen some of these other stuff, now they're more likely to enter their information here. So that's what Andromeda is doing. Origin story would be saying, hey, my name is Cris, and I'm with National Property Buyer, and we buy properties all throughout the country. And I started in real estate. So it's more of like a, hey, getting to know you, right? Now, granted, if you're not in camera, then some of these are not going to apply. Why us? So what you're doing is now you're putting together this whole ecosystem of ads that work together, not as a singular ad, because in the past you just had one ad, one bullet, you're trying to get that person, and if you didn't get them, then guess what? You didn't get them. But here in this system is you're creating an ecosystem of creating know, like, and trust with that person if you set up these creatives correctly, so then that way you have a better chance of converting them. Now, how does this play out in real life? Well, I'm going to show you screenshots of a campaign that we're one of our clients, and this is one in which we're targeting nationwide and we're targeting states, and the budgets here are low. I have other videos on budgets. I'm going to update the budgets in future videos. But in this scenario here, we have budgets of $12.50 and $25. And I want you to see here, this is just the last 14 days. The cost per lead is $10.89, $9.97, and $14.51. The $14 being the states, and the nationwide here being the $10 and the $9 per lead, which is a very low cost per lead. Now, as I said, you only have one ad set here with no interest, no exclusions, nothing whatsoever. We could exclude people that submitted their information already. So we could do that. And then here are all the ads. Now this is 12 ads here. So you're not able to see all the ads, but you can see here that this here, Cash Buyers Legit, is a ad that is right here. This is one of those ads. And what you'll notice is that particular ad is the one that's the ad that has been doing the best in here. But these other ads are getting impressions. This has gotten the most of the impressions. And this is producing leads at 729. This is 13, but we're not going to mess around with them. Because what will happen is that, the individual that submitted their information here may have seen some of these other ads. So we have an AI ad. We have a landlord. We have inherited. We have this is a Cash Buyers Legit image. This is a Cash Buyers Legit video, a landlord video, landlord image, etc. So we have this whole ecosystem that works together in order to create a much better result and a fine tuning of the avatar. So now we're able to, there's pluses and minuses. We're able to more fine tune exactly the type of avatar that we want, that we're looking for. However, it does require a larger number of creatives. So if you're just creating, if you are creating a generic ad that says, hey, we buy houses cash, sell your house for cash, that type of ad is going to struggle in this environment versus the more specific ad based on that particular client's pain points. And so that's the big update to Andromeda, which again, this got rolled out in, it has been rolled out over the course of the year. However, in September, middle of September is really when it was really pushed out all the way through all the different ad accounts, etc. And now coming into 2026, you have to take this into consideration because it is the new way of running ads. Your campaigns that you're running eventually will degrade in performance. And then also you're missing out on, grabbing other avatars that you may not have been able to get at to before with this new way of running ads. Now, this is different than now, a key thing with Facebook ads is that the broader the audience, the better performance, meaning that if you're targeting a very small geographic area, it's not ideal. You want to be able to target as wide of an area as possible. But the question that comes up is, Chico, I'm going to get leads all over the country. And how do you do deals like that virtually and in areas that I don't even know? Well, I got a video right here that details specifically how you go about doing deals in tiny towns all across the country that are tremendously viable, and you can make a crap load of money in those towns, and there's no competition. So check that video out.